Certified CMMC Professional, CCP, exam prep. Why you should care. Do you want to work with the Pentagon or help companies keep their big government contracts and make good money? If you fail to understand these rules, your company loses its chance to bid on work, so let us fix that today. You can get my complete practice test link in the description or at the first comment of this video with a discount coupon for the complete practice questions. These questions come with full explanations, which will help you get your certification on the first try. Section 1. The basics of CMMC and why it matters. We are going to talk about the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, which everyone just calls CMMC, because the full name is too long. The Department of Defense, or the DoD, made these rules because they want to keep their secret plans safe from hackers. Many companies build things for the army, but they do not always have good locks on their computer doors, which is a big problem. If a hacker steals plans for a new jet, the enemy can build the same jet faster, and that puts our soldiers in a lot of danger. CMMC is a set of rules that every company must follow if they want to sell anything to the military in the future. You are here to become a CCP, which means you will be the person who checks if these companies are doing their job. There are 3 main levels in this model, and each level has more rules than the one before it to keep data extra safe. Level 1 is for basic things, while Level 3 is for the most secret stuff that only a few people are allowed to see. You need to know that CMMC is not just a suggestion, but it is a requirement that will be in every contract. We use something called FCI, which stands for Federal Contract Information, and it is just basic data about a contract that is not public. Then we have CUI, which is Controlled Unclassified Information, and this is the stuff that hackers really want to find and steal. If a company handles CUI, they have to reach at least Level 2, and they must show proof that they are actually following every single rule. As a professional, you will look at their computers, talk to their staff, and read their papers to make sure nothing is being hidden. If you find a mistake, the company has to fix it before they can get their official certification from the High Board of Experts. It is your job to be honest and helpful so that the whole country stays safe from people who want to break into our digital systems. The CMMC ecosystem has many moving parts, like the accreditation body, which manages the whole program and makes sure every assessor is doing well. You will also hear about C3PRs, which are the independent companies that send people like you out to do the actual audit work. This system is built on trust and clear rules so that nobody can cheat, and every company is held to the same high standard. Think of yourself as a digital guard who checks the badges and the locks on every door to make sure the base stays secure. We will learn about the 14 domains, which are just groups of rules, like how to control who logs in and how to track visitors. By the time we finish this part, you will know exactly how to start a review and what to look for when you walk in. Section 1 Practice Questions. 1. What is the main goal of the CMMC program for the Department of Defense? It protects sensitive data by making sure companies follow specific security rules. The DoD wants to stop hackers from stealing military secrets, so they require all contractors to meet a baseline of cyber safety. 2. What does the acronym CUI stand for in the CMMC world? Controlled Unclassified Information. This is data that is not top secret, but still needs protection, because it contains sensitive details about government projects and plans. 3. How many levels are there in the current CMMC 2.0 model? There are 3 levels of security. Level 1 is for basic security, Level 2 is for protecting QI, and Level 3 is for the most advanced security threats. 4. Who is responsible for managing the CMMC program and the training of people? The Cyber AB or the accreditation body. This is the group that oversees the entire process, including training professionals and making sure the rules are followed correctly. 5. What is the difference between FCI and QI data? FCI is basic contract data while QI is sensitive information that requires more protection. Federal contract information is just business data, but controlled unclassified information is much more sensitive and needs stricter rules. 6. What is AC3PAO in the CMMC ecosystem? It is a certified third-party assessment organization. These are the authorized companies that perform the official audits to see if a contractor deserves to get their CMMC certificate. 7. Which level of CMMC requires a company to follow the rules in NIST SP 800 to 171? Level 2. This level aligns with the 110 security practices found in the NIST document, which is the standard for protecting sensitive information. 8. Can a company certify themselves at Level 2 for all contracts? No, many Level 2 contracts require an outside audit by AC3PAO. While some low-risk contracts allow self-assessment, most companies with sensitive data must pay a professional to check their work. 9. What happens if a company fails their CMMC assessment? They cannot win new contracts that require that specific level of security. The certification is a pass or fail requirement, so companies must fix the gaps before they can work with the military. 10. What is a practice in the CMMC model? A specific technical task or rule that a company must perform. Practices are the individual steps, like requiring a password, that add up to a company's total security score. 11. Why do we need CMMC if we already have other security rules? Because the old rules allowed companies to just promise they were safe without proof. CMMC requires an actual check to prove the security is working, instead of just trusting the company's word for it. 12. What is the role of a Certified CMMC Professional or CCP? To assist in assessments and help companies understand the requirements. A CCP knows the rules well and can join an assessment team to help verify that a company is following the law. 13. Which level focuses on basic cyber hygiene and only has 15 practices? Level 1. This is the starting point for small companies that only handle basic contract info and do not have sensitive secrets. 14. Who pays for the CMMC assessment to be done? The company that wants to get the certification. Just like a car inspection, the business must pay the C3PAO to come and verify their security systems are working right. 15. How long is a CMMC certification usually valid for? It is usually valid for 3 years. Companies must be checked every 3 years to make sure they are still keeping their computer systems safe and updated. Section 2. Roles and responsibilities in the CMMC world. In this section, we will look at all the people who make the CMMC system work, so you know who does what. First, you have the Department of Defense, which is the boss, and they set the rules that everyone else must follow. Then you have the Cyber AB, which we talked about before, and they act like the school principal for all the auditors. They make sure that the people who teach the classes and the people who give the tests are all doing their job. As a CCP, you are a very important part of this group because you are on the front lines of the audit. You will work under a certified CMMC assessor, also known as a CCA, who is like the lead detective on a case. The CCA is the one who signs the final report, but they rely on you to do the heavy lifting and check the details. You will spend your day looking at screens, checking locks on server rooms, and asking employees how they handle their email. It is also important to know about the RPO, which stands for Registered Provider Organization, because they are different from auditors. An RPO helps a company get ready for the test by giving them advice and helping them fix their broken security tools. You cannot be the person who fixes the computers and then be the person who audits them, because that is a conflict. Imagine if a teacher wrote the answers on the chalkboard during a test. That would not be fair or very useful. So, we keep the consultants and the auditors separate to make sure that the certification actually means something to the government. You also have the OSC, which stands for Organization Seeking Certification, and this is the company that is being audited today. They must provide all the evidence, like photos and logs, to prove that they are following the 110 rules of Level 2. If they do not have proof, it is your job to tell them that a simple yes is not enough to pass the test. We call this objective evidence, and it is the most important thing you will look for during your entire career as a CCP. You will learn to use the CMMC Assessment Guide, which is like an open book test that tells you exactly what to check. Following the guide is the only way to be fair to every company, so that you do not grade one company harder than another. We want every person in the country to be safe, and that only happens when we all follow the same strict rules. By understanding these rules, you can stay in your lane and do your job perfectly without getting confused about your duties. Section 2 Practice Questions. 1. What is the difference between a CCP and a CCA? A CCP is a professional who assists, while a CCA is the lead who signs off. The CCP does a lot of the work, but the CCA has more experience and carries the final responsibility for the audit. 2. Why can't a company help a client fix their security and then audit them? This is a conflict of interest that makes the audit untrustworthy. You cannot grade your own work, so the person who builds the security must be different from the person who checks it. 3. What does OSC stand for in a CMMC assessment? Organization Seeking Certification. This is the name given to the contractor or company that is currently being audited by the assessment team. 4. What is the role of a registered practitioner or RP? They are consultants who help a company get ready for their audit. RPs are experts who give advice and help set up the security, but they do not perform the final official assessment. 5. What is objective evidence in an audit? It is physical or digital proof that a security rule is being followed. An auditor cannot just take someone's word. They need to see a document, a photo, or a computer log as proof. 6. Who has the final authority to change the CMMC rules? The Department of Defense. Since it is a government program, The DOD writes the laws and the official rules that the Cyber AB must follow. 7. What is the CMMC assessment process or CAP? It is the official handbook that explains how an audit must be done. The CAP ensures that every auditor follows the same steps, so that every company gets a fair and equal test. 8. What is a conflict of interest during an assessment? It is a situation where an auditor's personal interests might affect their judgment. If you own stock in a company or your brother works there, you cannot audit them because you might be biased. 9. Can a CCP lead an assessment team by themselves? No, they must work under the supervision of a certified CMMC assessor. A CCP is an entry-level professional who supports the team but is not yet qualified to lead the whole project alone. 10. What does a C3PAO do with the results of an assessment? They review the results and then upload them into a government database. After the audit is done, the C3PAO checks the work for quality and then sends the official pass to the DOD. 11. What are the 3 methods used to gather evidence? Examine, interview, and test. You look at documents, you talk to the workers, and you try out the security tools to see if they work. 12. What is an assessment finding in a report? It is the result of checking a specific rule to see if it passed. For every rule, you must mark it as met, or not applicable, based on what you found. 13. Why is interviewing a staff member important? It proves that the employees actually know and follow the security policies. A company might have a rule book, but if the staff does not know the rules, the computer system is not truly safe. 14. What should you do if an OSC offers you a gift during an audit? You must say no and report it to avoid a conflict of interest. Accepting gifts can look like a bribe, which ruins the honesty of the audit and could cost you your job. 15. Who creates the training materials for the CCP exam? Licensed training providers or LTPs. These are the only companies allowed to teach the official classes that prepare you to take the CCP test. Section 3. Understanding the 14 domains of CMMC. Now we will look at the 14 domains, which are just groups of rules that keep a company safe from hackers. You can think of these domains as different chapters in a big book of security, where each one covers a specific topic. The first domain is access control, which is all about who can get into the system and what they can do once inside. If you do not have a badge or a password, you should not be able to touch any sensitive military data on that computer. Another important domain is identification and authentication, which ensures that every person has their own unique name in the system. We use something called MFA, which means you need 2 things, like a password and a code, to prove you are really you. The incident response domain tells the company exactly what to do when they find out that a hacker has actually broken in. They must have a plan to stop the attack, find out what was stolen, and tell the right people in the government very quickly. We also have the maintenance domain, which makes sure that the machines and the software are always updated and working properly. If a computer is too old, it might have holes in its armor that a hacker can use to slip inside without anyone noticing. Media protection is another big one, because it covers things like USB drives and paper printouts that have sensitive secrets written on them. You cannot just leave a secret document on a desk where a janitor or a visitor might see it and take a photo. Physical protection is about the actual building, like having locks on the doors and cameras in the hallways to watch for bad actors. As a CCP, you will walk around the office to make sure that server rooms are locked and that visitors are always being watched. Awareness and training is also key, because even the best locks will not work if an employee clicks on a bad link in an email. Every person in the company must be taught how to spot a trick and how to keep their own work area safe from prying eyes. System and information integrity is about making sure that the data has not been changed by a virus or a bad person. We use antivirus software to scan for bugs, and we check the files to make sure they are still exactly the same as before. Audit and accountability is a domain that requires the company to keep a log of everything that happens on their computer network. If a file disappears, we can look at the logs to see who was logged in and what they were doing at that exact time. This helps us catch people who are doing wrong, and it also helps us fix mistakes when things go accidentally wrong. By learning all 14 domains, you will have a map of everything that needs to be checked during your time as an auditor. Each domain has its own set of practices, and as you move up the levels, the rules for each domain get much harder. You are the one who ensures that every single rule in every single domain is being followed every single day. Section 3 Practice Questions. 1. What is the main focus of the access control domain? It limits who can use a computer and what files they are allowed to see. This rule makes sure that only the people who need to see secrets for their job can actually open those files. 2. Why is multi-factor authentication or MFA important in CMMC? It provides an extra layer of security so that a stolen password is not enough. Even if a hacker gets a password, they still need a second code from a phone or a token to get inside. 3. What does the physical protection domain cover? It covers the locks, cameras, and guards that keep the actual office building safe. Security is not just about computers. You also need to make sure a stranger cannot just walk in and steal a laptop. 4. What is the purpose of the incident response domain? It makes sure a company has a plan to follow when they get hacked. Companies must know how to stop an attack and who to call so that the damage does not get any worse. 5. What is a system log in the audit and accountability domain? It is a digital record that shows who did what on a computer. Logs are like a diary for the computer, helping auditors trace back exactly where a problem or a hack started. 6. Why do companies need the awareness and training domain? To teach employees how to stay safe and avoid clicking on dangerous email links. People are often the weakest link in security, so they must be trained to recognize and report suspicious activity. 7. What does the media protection domain protect? It protects physical things like USB drives, hard drives, and paper documents. Any item that holds sensitive data must be locked away so that it does not fall into the wrong hands. 8. What is the goal of the system and information integrity domain? To find and fix flaws like viruses and to make sure data is not changed. This domain uses tools like antivirus to keep the system healthy and to alert the team if something looks wrong. 9. What does the maintenance domain require for computer equipment? It requires that all tools and software are kept in good working order. Broken or old equipment can be a security risk, so it must be checked and fixed on a regular schedule. 10. In the configuration management domain, what is a baseline? It is a standard setup for a computer that everyone must use. By having a standard setup, it is easier to manage security and notice when someone changes a setting they shouldn't. 11. What is the risk assessment domain all about? It is about finding the weak spots in a company before a hacker does. Companies must look at their own systems and figure out where they are most likely to be attacked in the future. 12. What does least privilege mean in access control? Giving a person only the minimum access they need to do their job. A person in the mailroom should not have the password to the company's financial records or the military plans. 13. How does the personnel security domain help keep data safe? It involves checking the background of people before they are hired. Companies want to make sure they are not hiring people who have a history of stealing or working for the enemy. 14. What is CMMC marking in the media protection domain? Putting a clear label on a file or paper that says it is sensitive. Labels help employees know which items need extra care, so they do not leave secret files out on a table. 15. What does the System and Communications Protection domain do? It protects the data while it is traveling over the internet or a network. This rule uses things like encryption to scramble the data so that no one can read it while it moves. Section 4. The Level 2 Requirements and NIST 800-171. Level 2 is the most common goal for companies working with the military, because that is where they can handle CMMC. This level is based on a big document, called NIST SP 800-171, which has exactly 110 rules that must be followed. You will spend a lot of your time checking these 110 practices, because they are the foundation of the whole CMMC program. Every company at Level 2 must show that they have a written policy for every domain and that they follow it. If a company says they use passwords, but they do not have a written rule about it, they might fail. You will look for a document called the SSP, which stands for System Security Plan, which is the company's master map. The SSP describes every single tool and every single person that is involved in keeping the sensitive data safe and secure. Along with the SSP, you will check the POA&M, which is a list of things the company still needs to fix. In the old days, companies could stay on a POA&M for years, but now the DOD says they must fix everything quickly. If they do not fix their problems within a few months, they might lose their certification and their chance to work with the government. Level 2 is much harder than Level 1 because it covers everything, from how you hide data to how you watch your network. You will need to check if the company uses FIPS-validated encryption, which is a fancy way of saying the government has approved their locks. If their encryption is weak, a smart hacker can break it, and then all the secrets will be out in the open for anyone. You will also look at how the company handles scoping, which is just a word for deciding which computers are part of the audit. If a computer does not touch secret data, it might be out of scope, which means you do not have to check it. But if a company tries to hide a computer that actually has secrets on it, they are breaking the rules of the audit. Your job as a CCP is to make sure that the scope is correct, so that no sensitive data is left in a dangerous place. You will verify that the company has a way to identify every single person who touches a file that contains CMMC. This is called accountability, and it is the only way to know who to blame if something bad happens to the government's data. Most of the 110 rules are about common sense, like not using 12,345 as a password, or not leaving doors wide open. But because these rules are for the military, we have to be extra careful and check every single detail twice or even 3 times. When a company passes Level 2, they are proving to the world that they are a professional organization that can be trusted with secrets. You are the gatekeeper who makes sure that only the best and safest companies get to work on our country's most important projects. Section 4 Practice Questions. 1. How many practices or rules are required to reach CMMC Level 2? There are 110 practices that a company must follow. These rules come directly from a document called NIST 800-171, which is the standard for protecting sensitive information. 2. What is the System Security Plan or SSP? It is a document that describes all the security rules and tools a company uses. The SSP is the most important document in an audit because it tells the auditor how the company stays safe. 3. What does POA and M stand for in CMMC? Plan of Action and Milestones. This is a list of security holes that the company knows about and has a plan to fix in the future. 4. Can a company have a POA and M for every rule and still pass Level 2? No. The government only allows a few specific rules to be on a POA and M. Most security rules must be finished and working perfectly before a company can get their official certification. 5. What is scoping in a CMMC assessment? It is the process of deciding which computers and people are part of the audit. Scoping helps the auditor focus on the parts of the business that actually handle or touch the secret data. 6. What is FIPS validated encryption? It is a type of secret code for data that the government has tested and approved. CMMC requires companies to use high-quality encryption so that hackers cannot easily read stolen files. 7. Why is the SSP considered a living document? Because it must be updated every time the company changes its computers or its rules. An old SSP is useless to an auditor, so the company must keep it fresh and accurate at all times. 8. What happens if a company cannot show proof for one of the 110 rules? They will likely fail the assessment or receive a very low score. Level 2 requires 100% compliance for many rules, so missing even one can be a very big problem. 9. What is a security control? It is a specific tool or rule, like a firewall, used to protect data. Controls are the building blocks of security that work together to keep the bad guys out of the system. 10. What does NIST stand for? National Institute of Standards and Technology. This is a government agency that writes many of the technical rules used by the military and businesses. 11. What is the difference between a policy and a procedure? A policy is a high-level rule, while a procedure is a step-by-step guide. The policy says, use passwords, while the procedure explains exactly how to create and change those passwords. 12. Who is responsible for creating the SSP for a company? The company itself or a consultant they hire to help them. The company must take ownership of its security plan, even if they pay an expert to help them write it down. 13. Why is physical labeling of QI important at Level 2? It helps people identify sensitive data so they do not handle it carelessly. If a folder is marked CUI, an employee knows they cannot leave it in an unlocked car or a public place. 14. What is a gap analysis in Level 2 preparation? It is a pre-test to find out which of the 110 rules the company is missing. Most companies do a gap analysis first so they can fix their mistakes before the real auditor shows up. 15. What is in-scope assets? These are all the computers, servers, and people that handle or protect QI. These are the things you will spend your time checking, as they are the most important parts of the company's security. You can get my complete practice test link in the description or at the first comment of this video with a discount coupon for the complete practice questions. These questions come with full explanations, which will help you get your certification on the first try. Section 5. The assessment process and your daily work. Now we will look at how an audit actually happens, so you can be ready for your first day on the job. The whole process follows a specific set of steps, and we call this the CMMC assessment process, or the CAP for short. First, the company must plan the audit, and they will work with AC3PAO to pick the right dates and the right people. As a CCP, you will spend your time looking at evidence, which can be documents, or it can be a person talking to you. We use 3 ways to check a rule, which are to examine, to interview, and to test the security tools in the office. You might read a policy to see if it is written correctly, and then you will ask a worker to explain it. If the worker does not know the rule, it does not matter what the paper says, because the security is not working. You will also watch how people use their computers to make sure they are not sharing passwords or leaving their screens open. Every time you find proof, you must write it down in your notes, because your lead assessor will need to see it. We use a scoring system where every rule is worth 1 point, and a perfect score is always 110 points. If a company misses a big rule, they might get a 0 for that part, which can make their total score very low. You must be very careful not to miss any details, because the government uses this score to decide who gets the contracts. Sometimes a company will have a very good reason for doing things differently, and we call this an enduring exception in our reports. You will also help write the final report, which explains exactly what you found and where the company needs to improve their work. The lead assessor will review all your notes, and then they will send the final results to the official government database. It is a lot of responsibility, but you are not alone, because you always work as part of a highly trained team. Your job is to be like a fair judge, who only cares about the facts, and who never makes up their own rules. If you are honest and thorough, you will help make the whole country much safer from the people who want to hurt us. By the end of the audit, the company will know exactly where they stand and what they need to do to be better. You are a teacher and a checker at the same time, helping companies grow, while keeping the military's secrets under lock and key. Section 5 Practice Questions. 1. What is the CAP in the CMMC world? It is the CMMC Assessment Process Handbook. This document tells auditors exactly how to plan and perform an audit so that every company is treated fairly. 2. What are the 3 methods used to gather evidence during an audit? You examine documents, interview the staff, and test the security tools. Using all three methods helps an auditor be 100% sure that a company is actually following the security rules. 3. What is the highest possible score a company can get at Level 2? The highest score is 110 points. Since there are 110 rules in the NIST 800 to 171 list, each rule is worth exactly 1 point in the final grade. 4. What happens during the plan and prepare phase of an audit? The assessment team looks at the company's documents to see if they are ready. This phase helps the team understand the company before they actually show up at the office to start the check. 5. Why is the interview method so important for an auditor? It proves that the employees actually understand and use the security rules every day. A company can write anything on paper, but an interview shows if the staff is actually keeping the secrets safe. 6. What is a self-assessment in CMMC? It is when a company checks its own security without a professional auditor. Level 1 and some Level 2 companies can do this, but they must still report their score to the government. 7. Who makes the final decision on whether a company passes their audit? The C3PAO and the lead certified CMMC assessor. While the CCP helps find the evidence, the lead assessor and their company have the final say on the grade. 8. What is the SPRS database? It is a government website where companies must upload their security scores. The Department of Defense checks this database before they give a contract to a company to make sure they are safe. 9. What should a CCP do if they find a major security hole during an audit? They must record the evidence and tell their lead assessor immediately. Every finding must be documented so that the company can be told exactly what they need to fix to pass. 10. What is an assessment team? It is the group of professionals, like CCPs and CCAs, who perform the audit. Most audits are too big for one person, so a team works together to check all the rules quickly. 11. What is the assessment scope, and why does it matter? It is the list of all computers and people that handle sensitive data. If the scope is wrong, the audit is not valid, because some sensitive data might be left unprotected in a corner. 12. Can a company hide their mistakes from an auditor? They might try, but a good auditor will find the holes by checking the logs. Auditors are trained to look deep into the system to find the truth, even if someone is trying to hide it. 13. What is a MET finding in an audit report? It means the company is following the rule perfectly and has proof. This is the best result for a company, as it means they have earned their point for that specific security rule. 14. What is a not met finding? It means the company is missing a rule or does not have enough proof. When a rule is not met, the company must fix the problem before they can get their full certification. 15. How does a CCP stay updated on the latest audit rules? By following the updates from the Cyber AB and taking continuing education classes. The world of hackers changes fast, so auditors must keep learning to stay ahead of the people who want to steal data. Section 6. Ethics and Professionalism for the CCP. Being a CCP is not just about knowing the technical rules, but it is also about being a good person. You will have access to many secrets, and you must promise to never share what you see with anyone else. We call this confidentiality, and it is the most important rule for every single person who works in the CMMC world. If a company finds out that you told their secrets to their competitors, you will lose your job and your license. You must also be very honest about what you find, even if the company tries to be extra nice to you. Sometimes a company might offer you a free lunch or a gift, but you must always say no to stay fair. If you take a gift, people might think you are being paid to ignore their mistakes, and that ruins the whole audit. You should also be very respectful to the workers, because an audit can be a very scary time for them. They might be worried about losing their jobs, so you should be calm and explain what you are doing in simple words. Your goal is to help them be safe, not to get them in trouble, so try to be a helpful teacher. You must also keep your own skills sharp by reading the new rules and attending training sessions throughout the year. The Department of Defense changes the rules sometimes, and it is your job to know the latest news before you visit a company. If you make a mistake in an audit, you should own up to it and fix it as soon as you can. Nobody is perfect, but being honest about your work shows that you are a true professional who can be trusted. You are representing the whole CMMC program, so you should always look and act like someone who takes the job very seriously. When you sign a report, your name is attached to that data, and that means you are giving your word. Your word is your bond in this business, and it is the thing that will help you build a long and successful career. If you follow these ethics, you will be a great CCP, and you will help our country stay strong and secure. Always remember that behind every computer screen, there are real people and real soldiers who are counting on you to do your best. By doing your job well, you are helping to protect the freedom and the safety of everyone who lives in our nation. Section 6 Practice Questions. 1. What is the most important ethical rule for a CCP? To keep all company secrets confidential and never share them. You will see private data, and you must never tell anyone about it, or you will lose your professional license forever. 2. Why should an auditor refuse gifts from a company? To avoid a conflict of interest and stay fair to everyone. Even a small gift can make it look like you are being biased, which ruins the honesty of the entire audit process. 3. What does objectivity mean in the world of auditing? It means you only look at the facts and do not let feelings get in the way. You must grade a company based on their evidence, even if you like the people or if they are very friendly. 4. What should you do if you find out your friend works at the company you are auditing? You must tell your lead assessor and ask to be moved to a different project. Auditing a friend is a conflict of interest because you might be tempted to be too easy on them. 5. Why is professionalism important when talking to company employees? It helps them feel calm and makes it easier for them to tell you the truth. If you are mean or scary, people will hide their mistakes, which makes it harder for you to find the real security holes. 6. What is the Code of Professional Conduct for CMMC? It is a set of rules that tells you how to behave and be honest. Every CCP must sign this code to prove they will be a good and fair person while doing their job. 7. What does due care mean for an auditor? It means doing a thorough and careful job without being lazy or skipping steps. If you miss a security hole because you didn't check a log, you are not showing due care in your work. 8. Can a CCP share audit results on social media? No, this is a major violation of the privacy rules. You should never talk about your work on the internet, as it puts the company and the government at risk. 9. What happens if a CCP is caught lying on an audit report? They will lose their certification and might even face legal trouble. Honesty is the most important part of the job, and lying is the fastest way to end your career in security. 10. Why is continuing education required for all CCPs? Because security rules and hacker tricks change every single year. To be a good auditor, you must keep learning so that you always know the best ways to protect sensitive data. 11. What is an independent audit? It is an audit done by someone who has no connection to the company. Independence ensures that the results are fair and that no one is being protected because of personal relationships. 12. How should you handle a situation where a manager pressures you to change your report? You must refuse and report the pressure to your lead assessor or the Cyber AB. No one is allowed to tell an auditor how to grade a company. You must only follow the evidence you find. 13. What is integrity in the context of CMMC? It is doing the right thing even when no one is watching you. A person with integrity will follow every step of the audit process, even if they are tired or in a hurry. 14. Why is it important to follow the official assessment guide? It ensures that every auditor across the country is using the same standards. Using the guide stops auditors from making up their own rules and keeps the whole system fair for every business. 15. What is the ultimate goal of being an ethical CCP? To build a system of trust that keeps the country and its secrets safe. When everyone follows the rules and stays honest, the military can focus on the job without worrying about stolen plans. You can get my complete practice test link in the description or at the first comment of this video with a discount coupon for the complete practice questions. These questions come with full explanations, which will help you get your certification on the first try.